From the Department of Television and Radio at Brooklyn College in New York, the Department of Radio, Television, and Film at the University of North Texas in Denton, and KRCB Public Television in Rohnert Park, California, welcome to American Music. We're presenting the music of America from the very, very beginning. From the Native Americans, the Pilgrims.
The Pilgrims and Puritans in 1620 and the Puritans of 1628 and 29, they probably brought over with them a very slow style of singing.
The earliest concentrated effort to convert the slaves was made in the 1750s by Presbyterian ministers in Virginia. These were Presbyterian ministers who wrote to England for copies of Watts' hymns and psalms for the use of the blacks.
We present the full panorama and history of music in America through engaging conversation, live and archival performances, and the documentaries of America's gifted storytellers.
W. Leo Daniel and his light crust doughboys are on the air. Woohoo! Greatest moment of radio.
I'm Randall Keith Horton. Ours is a talk show that informs, entertains, and lives the stories behind American musical life. Twice I had the privilege of interviewing the performing, songwriting, and storytelling duo, Barbara Cecil and Keith Torgan, known to thousands of families nationally as Flute Suites and Tickle Tunes. Let's look in on the first of those interviews.
Oh, hi there, Randall.
Hi, Keith.
Hey, good to be here.
Hey,
Hi,
buddy.
Randall.
Hi, Barbara.
Hi,
Hey,
thanks
yeah.
for having us today.
Thank you. I know that you have quite a bit of work around the country. You go to various states and cities and schools and libraries doing music for children, and you compose music, you play as a duo, and you have a company that is a very interesting company that's the name of which is Flute Suites. That's S-W-E-E-T-S.
That's correct.
As opposed to S-U-I-T-E-S. But Flute Suites
Yeah.
and Tickle Tunes.
Exactly.
Tell us about that. That's a great name. Tell us about the company and what you do with it. What is it?
Well, she's Flute Suites.
She's Flute Suites.
Flute.
Barbara
She's
Cecil.
very sweet.
And she's very sweet.
And I'm Tickle Tunes.
I believe it, Keith.
Well, it wouldn't work the other way around.
Okay,
I
all right.
cannot play the flute.
Okay.
I remember walking by a black church. I was in New York for some reason. It was a Sunday morning, and the door. It was a beautiful summer day, and the doors were open, and there was a killing choir in there, gospel choir.
Powerhouse.
And
Look out.
my jaw just dropped.
Look out.
This was was worship.
Yeah,
this
man.
wasn't a concert.
Yeah.
This was
Right.
actual worship. And you know, how could in the American Jewish experience, how could Jews not be influenced by that and
Right.
that kind of energy? And,
Sure.
and then you walk by and hear Bach's Mass in B minor.
Yeah.
Another few blocks away
Right.
with the organs and the brass and the orchestra and the choir and the soloists, and sort of
Yeah.
think like, well, that's not a concert either. That's also worship.
Well, here we are.
So
Yeah.
I think that being in America has sort of given some permission, while clinging to those traditions and cherishing the old Jewish traditions, of sort of, well, let's be influenced by
Yes.
this glorious sort of music that's happening in other forms of worship.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I hear that happening. I mean, the klezmer revival is a great example.
Yes.
There's klezmer music in synagogues more and more.
Yes.
And it's a dynamic, wonderful,
That's sound and
wonderful sound.
Rich, exactly.
And why not?
We're here with Mr. Neil Ginsberg, who is a teacher in the school system in Brooklyn, New York. And Mr. Ginsberg is going to play a song for us now. and we're going to get a sense of whether or not the children understand or know where this song might come from. Evenu Shalom Aleichem, Evenu Shalom Aleichem, Evenu Shalom Aleichem, Evenu Shalom, Shalom, Shalom Aleichem. Where is that song from, do you think? Kevin?
Is it from Russia?
Good guess.
Good guess. Anyone else?
Okay.
Where? Where do you think it's from?
India?
India. Well, I don't think it's, well, maybe it is. That's from Mr. Neal.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit about where that music's from. The music is actually not from a place. It's actually a music shared by a group of people. It's Jewish music.
Jewish music.
And there are Jews, of course, in America, but also in Europe and all over the world, who all share the same type of music.
Okay. Well, I tell you, boys and girls, or boy and girls, okay? Kevin, Simone, and Valerie, and Bria, let's listen to Mr. Ginsberg tell us about that song and the music that is from a certain part of the world or from a certain people. I'll see you later.
The next song we'll listen to is by Jimmy Rogers. Rogers was born in Mississippi, ended his life in Texas, and was the first superstar of country music, and in many ways is known as the father of country music. And when you're thinking about Western swing music, there's still a pioneer alive today, Smokey Montgomery, who was still with the Light Crust Doughboys, which was the first group that Bob Wills was with, is a walking encyclopedia and historian of the Western swing aspect of music and Texas country music in particular. He's met and played with all of the greats.
In the 30s, we had this big bus with a platform on the back, built like the back of a fancy train, where we could pull into town and go out on that bus, and they'd turn on, it had a 110 generator in it. We'd turn on that amplifier and put on a program right from the back of that stage, with not even get off the bus. And like we would announce from the radio program at 12:30 noon. We were on every day, 12:30 noon, live.
Do the F-holes have a classic or a standard dimension that is the same in all violins? Do these holes in the
There's a range, a very small range of 4 to 5 millimeters, both in the length and the spacing.
I see.
And it's very critical to the sound production.
Interesting.
Violins in themselves only vary from maker to maker by 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch,
yes,
but that can have a drastic change on its sound. So the spacing is very critical to the particular design of the instrument.
I see.
These define the main vibrating surface,
yes,
of the instrument. So just a couple of knife strokes through here can change it, can make it more projecting, but maybe a harsher tone. So you have a trade-off all the time.
That is just remarkable. Well, thank you very, very much. One of the reasons why I'm so interested in interviewing you, Chris, is that America is a new country, and we're a young country, whereas we're these great Stradivarius and Guarneri violins came from Europe that has a thousands-year-old history, as does the rest of most of the world. We are a very young country, and what I love about the fact that you are doing is that you are renowned as a violin maker and as a guitar maker, and I wish we had an opportunity to do more with your guitar. Maybe we just see one quickly and just get a sense of that. You made this, right?
This,
I almost said you wrote this.
Right.
You made this.
This would be called a concert guitar,
Yes,
a classical guitar.
Classical guitar.
Which its tradition is a long evolution of instruments, where the violin has been the same for nearly 300 years.
I see.
This design of classical guitar is pretty much happened in the last half of this century, but it is based on century-old designs.
Now, where you said it has happened in the last half of this century, on which continent or on several continents? Is this something that's developed around the world? by guitar makers, or is it more here or Europe or what? Can you tell
I
me
would
that?
say Europe and America,
Europe and
South America.
South America also, yes. Of course,
Spain was always big.
They're
in
great
guitar.
tradition, absolutely.
But I would say many of the major transformations have happened in this country.
Yes.
Because we're a new country and we can get away with doing something unorthodox
Yes.
because we don't have to adhere to the tradition.
Chris Savino, thank you very, very much for being with us on American Music. We appreciate it.
My honor to be here, Randall.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
My earliest involvement in instrument making was with a violin maker. But once I left there, I was primarily or entirely a classical guitar maker. Now it's all circled back to the violin again. Again, it came from clients who were pushing me to do this, who wanted violins from me. So I started doing it, and it grew. And now I have a new passion in violins.